Episode 6. Our topic today is the journey from service provider to consultant, talking about the changes in the cleaning industry. This topic about the perception of building service providers has been a passion of mine for 30 years because I feel like the trade has been devalued against other trades that impact organizations and operations in overall building maintenance. A lot of factors contribute to that. However, new awareness about the impact of proper cleaning on public health is changing that dynamic. So I'm excited today. My guest has had the fortunate opportunity to embrace cleaning and the cleaning industry and broader multi-site facilities maintenance his entire career. He holds an MBA and is the founder and CEO and president of W Services Group and is considered a subject matter expert in development, implementation, and execution of cleaning and flooring programs for the commercial consumer goods and services industry across all of North America. He served on the CONEX, formerly PRISM Association Best Practices Committee, National Conference Task Force, Nominating Committee, and on its board of directors. In addition, he's actively involved in philanthropy with the Whelan Foundation as a board of director. He's a great guy. He gives back to the industry, and I'm super excited to have as my guest, Matthew Whelan. Thanks, Matthew.
Alan, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here, and you've done a great job with these podcasts, and I'm excited to be on today's adventure, and looking forward to an intriguing discussion.
That's awesome. So to kind of get things started, back where I was in my intro, historically, building service providers or service providers in the cleaning space have really, in my experience, been seen more as labor providers, not quite with the same professionalism as maybe HVAC or security or other trades that may be impacting facilities. However, as the public has, really in this pandemic been heightened awareness of public health, I feel that's changing. How have the conversations changed for you at W Services in the past 90 days with your client base?
Absolutely, Alan. So it's an interesting world that we're in today because the pandemic has definitely shined a light on cleaning and the need for awareness around specifically disinfection. And our clients have always wanted clean, inviting spaces for their consumers, regardless whether they were consumer facing or if it was an office space for their employees, or was it a restaurant, regardless of the type of box. Everybody always wanted a clean, inviting space. But to your point, the awareness to the labor that was coming in and what they were accomplishing really didn't have a lot of scrutiny. It was either it was clean or it was not clean. Obviously, in today's environment post COVID-19, there's definitely a larger awareness to what is actually happening on services being provided. And there's a dramatic shift from cleaning for what I call aesthetics or experience to now cleaning for health and safety. And there's definitely much more conversations happening now around what do programs look like? What are we accomplishing when we come into services space? How are we approaching the execution of cleaning services? What are we incorporating from a disinfection perspective? So there's definitely a larger awareness, and it's elevating the labor that we are sending in. There obviously, there's always standards with regards to training and development, but there's a much more awareness and need to now make sure that any technician that we send in truly understands what needs to happen when they're utilizing chemicals, whether it be cleaners or disinfectants, and what they're looking to accomplish when they're executing those cleaning services. So it's definitely a higher level conversation that's happening today than it's happened prior to COVID-19.
There's a really interesting point in there. I think you, as the president and CEO of your organization, were taking the responsibility for skill development and professionalism with your staff, but your clients weren't in the past, in my guess, weren't asking you specifically about skill level and development of your employees. They were just talking about the labor rate. And I think that's shifting, which is a great thing.
Absolutely. It's no longer just a conversation around, hey, what's the rate and when are they coming? It's now, hey, who is that technician? What experience do they have? What training have they been given? So it's elevated that level of technician that's going in to execute these services.
Yeah, that's just that it really warms my heart. So we hopefully we keep this momentum going. You
Yes,
know,
absolutely.
effective cleaning requires a blend of both professional service companies like W Services, but there's always some unstaffed time, right? Where there's even if it's just portering a restroom or doing some light touch point wiping, where the people need to do some in-house activities. And so do you feel like customers are getting a little more serious about their responsibility for training and executing their people as part of the whole cleaning strategy?
Without a doubt, the shift to self-awareness for our consumers or our clients is at such a high level that it's ever been at. Because we've all experienced as cleaning professionals, locations that we provide services for where whatever the cadence may be, nothing happens between the time that we show up today and the time that we show up whatever time in the future. Now, our clients, our consumers, they have to do services, execute services between the times that they're utilizing professional services. Now, yes, some clients may have funds and opportunities to allow us to be at their sites throughout the course of the day, throughout the course of store operations or location operations, but a lot of folks don't. So they now need to really push down on their operations teams and their associates to execute cleaning and disinfection services between the times that we're in there executing professional services. So it's definitely a unique challenge, and by virtue of that challenge, they're leveraging us to help them develop training programs, whether they be done via remote video or on-site, which certainly creates unique situations from a social distancing perspective, but helping them develop not only training programs, but also scopes of work, chemical and disinfectant programs, other programs that they need to support those operations teams so that way they can actually execute those cleaning and disinfection services between the times that we're coming in as a professional services company. So it's a really a unique conversation, a unique need that clients are really aware of the need to leverage their operations teams to execute these services between the times that we're there.
Yeah, and that's where that shift from service provider to kind of more consultative provider, I think, is
Yeah.
really happening. And I think it presents unique opportunities for those companies like W Services that embrace it. Another challenge in that same area is the logistics of the supply chain and PPE management, right? So if you were just kind of waiting until the restroom got trashed and then you're sending, Alan in, say, hey, Alan, can you go and spruce up the men's room? We got a couple of complaints. Well, I don't know where the stuff is. I don't have any PPE. I'm just charging in, seeing the fire and trying to put it out. But, being a professional and knowing all these things, I'm assuming that your clients are asking for some consulting on how do we manage the supply chain and PPE requirements as well?
Absolutely. And you mentioned something really unique on the consulting side of things, because any professional cleaning company has become a consultant by virtue of this pandemic. We are all armed with a unique skill set and knowledge base around the proper execution of the services that are needed in today's pandemic, that any professional services company must take this time to really help educate their clients and develop programs for them. And part of those programs is the need for PPE kits, or disinfection kits, as I like to call them. And as a professional services company, we have a large quantity of supplies in-house here, but have certainly a network of organization and distribution centers that we work with across North America. And it's become a really unique opportunity for us to leverage those relationships to assist a lot of our clients that have never had the need to purchase in high volume, gloves, face coverings, eye protection, disinfectants, microfiber cloths, all the unique basic tools that we use every day as a professional services company. They now have the need to procure and utilize. So we've done everything from packaging individual kits to send to locations, to sending large quantities via trailer to other clients across the country to help kind of distribute between all their multi-sites that they may operate. So it's a really unique landscape, and it's definitely what I'd like to say is the requirement of all of us professional services company to step up and help our customers and consumers through this pandemic, because we have a really unique skill set and an opportunity to help those folks in today's environment.
And you mentioned it earlier. The truth is, if between contracted services, you actually can get the client in their role in this combined effort to elevate their execution and their awareness, it helps both sides. It's a win-win for sure.
Absolutely. It's as we start talking about program development, and I think that's what you're referring to is, and I certainly don't want to cut you off, Alan, but the accountability and the validation with the programs that we have today, they need to evolve as part of this whole situation. And we've worked hard at creating kind of programs that have an enhanced disinfection and have, again, the validation of completion and creating cadences that actually matter to the surfaces that all of their store associates and their consumers are going to be touching and utilizing on an ongoing basis. So it's hey, how often are we really cleaning and disinfecting a restroom, a point of sale, a space that maybe a consumer may sit at and eat at and consume those goods and services? So it's a really unique marketplace right now for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there will be, and this is not going away, in my opinion, right? The consumer awareness.
No, definitely not.
I mean, people are going to make decisions about their daily activities, and cleanliness and comfort with that indoor environment and restrooms are going to play into I mean, I was talking about, if about a fine dining restaurant, if they want me to come have a couple of my family, bring some friends, have a couple of bottles of wine, spend 2 hours, I'm going to want to know that restroom's clean, or
Yes.
I'm not going to do that, right? I'm going to invite the people to my house, or we will change our behaviors based on public health. And I think, people are getting aware to it, and, the kind of things that you guys are doing are certainly are helping elevate the profession. What new services, or if any, out of all this change that's going on, are you adding to the W Services portfolio?
No, absolutely. And kind of before I get into some of those services, just to kind of piggyback off of your last statement, we've all, as professional cleaning services companies, have had to go in and clean a restroom and then take the piece of paper on the back of the door and write the time and date that we were there cleaning that restroom. That has to now happen throughout an entire space, to your point, for a consumer to be comfortable. And technology needs to support that. And there are applications out there, and there's opportunities for companies like myself to either, whether it be develop our own technology or utilize outside providers to have tagging systems and have ways to validate that we've completed servicing a specific surface. So that way, if a consumer comes into that space, maybe they have the same app on their phone and they can actually touch that table or touch that chair or touch that restroom and actually get validation that, hey, at this time on this date, however many minutes, hours ago, this space was properly cleaned and disinfected. And there has to be, a list of the programs that they're providing for their space. So when a consumer comes in, they actually can understand, hey, this company is doing A, B, and C from a professional services perspective, and this is what they're doing in-house with their operations team. And then again, it gives a comfort and knowing for a consumer to say, hey, you know what? They're doing all the things that they need to ensure my health and my safety as I come in and enjoy their experience and enjoy their products and services. So I think that's going to be the next big drive through program development is, what do those validations methods look like? And I know that in a previous podcast, you mentioned the ATP and the measurements, and maybe those tools, those technologies will become readily available and be more utilized on an ongoing basis. But in conjunction with that, what type of validation methods will exist? And I'll bridge the gap kind of into the next question that you had asked about services. So we've all heard about electrostatic cleaners and foggers and UV light, and a lot of those technologies have come to the forefront by virtue of the pandemic that we're in right now. And you see them on the front page of every major publication today. And a lot of the disinfectants and systems that existed even a month ago or 2 months ago, they're evolving rapidly right now through the use of this pandemic. So many of them have been tested and proven, but many of them have not. And I think it's our responsibility as professional services companies is to know, hey, which ones truly have validation methods or can be utilized in support of existing programs. Because as you know, a lot of those mechanical applications of disinfectants require specific PPE that you would not utilize on an everyday basis. And they're not safe for the consumer to be in this space while you're utilizing them. So understanding when the right time is to incorporate those is just as important as actually utilizing those methods to combat today's environment. So it's very important to continue to self-educate and know when to utilize those things.
You know, when there's change, there's a lot of emerging new ideas, right? And you've hit it on the head, right? Some of the thing, you know, we've got to evolve from static forms on the back of doors that people don't trust to cleaning with you know, with dirty mops and dirty mop water to really, you know, I think you've really nailed it, Matthew, which is it's the combination of the right process, the right execution, and then the right outward data push to the consumer. They need the data that they need. We don't even know exactly what the consumer needs yet, but we need to be ready to react and understand what they need to feel comfortable so that we can service the market, this new emerging market. I really appreciate your time. This was awesome conversation. Last thing I want to ask, how can people get more information about W Services and the things you do? Because I think anybody looking for service providers should be calling you because, you know, I just think what you're talking about really represents the best in the industry.
No, thank you, Alan. And you've done a great job with these podcasts and you're doing such a great justice for everybody in our world. And I'm grateful for the opportunity. You know, for us, you know, we still have somebody picking up the phone every day, you know, 8 to 6. So you can certainly call us, but certainly, you know, that's the traditional method, or call myself, but certainly through all social media websites. We're listed on everything from LinkedIn to Instagram, and certainly through wservices.com is our main website that you can find out a little bit more about W. And again, we're here to help, and we're never about, hey, the quick sale. We're about really long-term partnerships and development for the industry as a whole, because there's so much work out there for all of us. And I just always urge anybody that wants to get involved in this, self-educate, expand your knowledge, and pass that knowledge on to somebody else, because you never know who may have an interesting idea or an insight to helping us all evolve. Because I know I don't know everything, just as you don't. And I'm always interested in hearing what somebody else has to say and what they can bring to kind of further evolve our industry, especially in today's time. So, but hopefully that's certainly a way to get a hold of us.
Yeah, in this case, the rising tide raises all ships, and in the perception of cleaning, we need to raise the tide. So
100%.
I think this conversation goes that way. Thank you again. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll be back next week. We're out. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Alan. Be good.